Playtime Session 3. Jay, we've made it to the third week.
Let's do this.
After everything that's come hurtling against us with platform and technology and life, we're here at week 3. Just to recap.
Technology, funny enough.
Yeah, and it's about technology today, right? And technology has been our biggest enemy. Let's just recap. For the first week, we had a stellar panel with on medicine, and all things health and wellness. We had 2 expert panelists, doctors, quad certified surgeon, an eye surgeon, and an also quad board certified physician who works for the WNBA and NBA. That was an amazing panel. Then we went to the god of gaming and the legend, Mr. Nolan Bushnell, who created what we're all doing here. So pretty crazy times. Today we have a stellar panel too on tech. These guys are building 2 amazing pieces of tech for esports and gaming, specifically in data and in tournament hosting, as far as it has to do with blockchain-based tournament hosting and tokenization. So we're going to hear from Astiad, which is the tokenization blockchain platform, later, and Yamzu. But right now we're going to get into your session. And this first session is a very interesting one that I think a lot of people don't talk about. So I think that data, technology, analytics, and all 3 of those, and how it comes together through technology. I should have said data, analytics, and technology. But it's amazing how the speed has processed, the speed of data, the speed at which now esports and gaming is starting to come at us. It definitely got expedited, but right now with COVID, with everybody being at home, the industry got like a kick in the butt about 15 years, a lot of people are saying. Now data is at the forefront of that. So we're about to hear with the technology platform that built it around data analytics. And what do you think about, data where it sits now, Jay, in comparison to something like, the NBA? So many data points in the NBA, so many, for merchandisers to do that. But then you have maybe 1 or 2 FaZe Clan and 100 Thieves that are doing like the merchandising, because that requires a massive amount of data pieces to know where your customers are, and merchandising is to be a big one. What do you think about that in terms of esports right now? If it's going to only take 2 to get merchandising done, is that where we're headed toward lifestyle, to figuring out what those data points are giving back to us? Or is it more in gaming, as you see Crucible with Amazon, Valorant coming out, all these big games coming out? So I'm trying to figure out, is it lifestyle or is it like gaming data that we need to go after to really come full front?
I think that's an interesting question, because obviously data and analytics in this space is so young. We're still very early on, where you have different players, developers, game developers, streamers, teams. All these different verticals are trying to learn different things from the data points that they can pull out of games. So very cool to see has to say about that, since his platform is built to help brands, to help teams, to help different players learn and get the most out of the data that they pull out of different points, I guess. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the difficult part, is getting those points, right? Is because a lot of the data sets and the data points coming out is on gaming. And so Christian's about to jump on with us. We're going to wait no longer. We're going to get him on. CEO, founder of Aggero. I'm going to let himself do a fantastic overview, because the technology is even beyond us. They're killing it right now. Not only have they've raised good money, but they've worked in good revenue models, and now for the future, off to the moon. Their KPIs have been hit every step along the way. He's going to talk about the great things they're doing in data for esports and gaming. So let's bring on Christian, and then I will disappear.
Hey guys, good to see you again.
Yeah, Christian, thanks for joining us. Hello to everybody. I'm going to get off and let you guys do your panel. Christian, thank you so much for being our CEO, founder of Aggero. data analyst genius with us today. Have a great session, guys.
Thank you for having me.
See you.
Awesome, Christian. Thanks for coming on again. Really appreciate your time, and obviously love what you're doing in the space. Kevin and I have so much admiration for what you've built. So I'd love to kind of bring it out to the audience today, pick your brain on data analytics and all the technology that's been helping different players advance in the space. But before we get into it, I'd love if you could just introduce yourself. I know you've been in the space for a long time, so just give us a little bit of a background of how you got into the space and what you're doing now with Aggero.
Yeah, thank you so much, G. Yeah, my name is Cristian Mana. I'm the CEO and founder of Aggero. I've been involved in the esports and gaming industry for more than 15 years. My biggest background is working with teams, events, building their managed services, let's say departments. So I was the guy selling the sponsorships, activating the marketing campaigns, and going back to the brands to renew the contracts, because that was the end goal of everything, just renewing, keep growing. Then I moved into tech and betting for a while. I was a country manager of a unicorn here in Europe called Bolt. I think not a lot of people which are not, part of this part of the world they know, but yeah, it's pretty massive company. And then I moved into betting as a head of product to one of the largest esports betting company in Central Eastern Europe. But then I decided to come back and solve my end user pain points that I had in this industry for a long while. So yeah, that's my background, and that's how I decided to start Aggero, to try to initially solve my pain points. But we've seen that this is scaling in an industry broad problem, which I really, really believe this is going to unlock the industry dollars. So yeah, thank you.
No, love that. And great that you brought up the gambling space as well, because obviously so much technology, so much data has to be used in that space as well to pick up the different points that bookmakers can make. But we'll get into that a bit later. Just for now, I'd love if you can tell us a little bit about the platform, Aggero. Who is it? Who is it aimed at? And obviously, I know that you guys focus on data and analytics, essentially for brands. But do you guys help teams, publishers, game developers? Can you help the other parties as well learn from different data points to essentially reach their target audience?
Great question. I mean, we started Aggero with the single goal of helping marketers, brands, to navigate esports and gaming market, because the big problem, they don't know really to navigate this industry because of the lack of data and infrastructure around the industry. Just to make a quick comparison, if you look at Facebook advertising, you open Facebook and you want to start a campaign, you have you can build your audience persona, you can put how much money you want to spend, and they will tell you how much money you will get back, or what's the ROI. So we started with that to targeting the advertisers, but I think at the middle of developing our MVP, we realized that what we built, it's also serving publishers, which is IP right holders, teams, events, talent agencies. And it's exactly what you are saying, a deeper layer of intelligence should really help them to do two powerful things. One, they should help to sell better. And secondly, it should help them to understand what content they should build to grow their audience, to grow their media value, because I think that's about it. You do that, you make, you make that, you win more money. So that's what we are trying to a platform that sustains both advertisers, brands and advertisers, and IP right holders and publishers in the same time. One, to save their time, because all of their processes which are doing today are being done manual and is very costly. And it's not about only the cost, but you are, let's say, vulnerable to poor ROI and fraud. That's kind of the problem that people don't understand. And I think, as you are saying, and Kevin, we are in the beginning yet. And we are seeing that. We are seeing barrier to a lot of people to try to educate them that in order to do, you need data to do data-informed decisions. So yeah, that's where we
That's absolutely right, and you brought up so many things there. So I'm going to break it down just a little bit because our audience obviously would love to, I think, separate, especially a marketing tool like this is used differently for a brand or an advertiser or an agency or anyone representing the brand side, and the developer who is trying to learn how to better their offering or their game or their their technology essentially. So one awesome question I'd love to ask you is, what do you think the different metrics are that first, that for example, brands look at when pulling in or looking into data to essentially get the best ROI that they can versus the developer side? How can you distinguish the two?
A great question. I think I'll answer on the brand side first. Today, what I'm seeing in the industry, maybe 80 to 90% of the brands are using very simple KPIs, which I think that's the problem, because they are looking after demographics data when they want to do targeting, and they just need to get eyeballs. That's it.
So they're just looking at basic impressions.
Yeah, but in that, I think that's the biggest problem, to be honest with you. And I was talking, I think, a few weeks back with a 30 years experienced marketer, and I asked him, what do you see when you look at esports? Well, I see non-meaningful impressions because they don't know what's the actual ROI behind those impressions. I mean, they don't have the data if those impressions will have any power to buy their product, any interest in anything. Like, there is no information on that particular aspect. To the game developers, well, that's a bit changed, because game developers, they have a 10-15 years experience in running advertising in this industry. Exactly. So they are way more focused on user acquisition and performance. So they want to know users, sign-ups, success. So yeah, I think that's the difference between brands and game developers today.
Great. No, you're absolutely right. And I'll push the developer side later, because I think we have a few questions on that specifically. Let's stick to the brands for now. Obviously, brands in traditional sense, they look at a lot more metrics, especially engagement. I know when you're interacting with, obviously social media and all of these things, that brands look at engagement, right? Whereas right now in the esports and gaming space, it's more just the eyeballs. Do you think that they look at anything as far as, like, play time, interactions, things like this, quitting points, obviously on Twitch and such? So you have different, obviously, brands getting into it. What do you think entices them to get into different areas of the industry? So obviously you can sponsor a streamer, you can sponsor a team, you can sponsor a tournament, an activation, you can do so many things. What do you see has been more attractive to brands? As far as data goes, how can they learn from their data?
Yeah, I think you're again describing the problem. They don't know what they should do, and how we've seen it's happening today. Either they got so excited because my competitor is already there and I want to be there, so they go to their media agencies and take $1 million, just do it, without even doing a proper research, without knowing if they should associate with that particular team. Is that audience of that particular team going to buy their product? Like, I think this is the problem again. I don't think they are using data to take these decisions. And indeed, there are few of them that got it right. There are some renewals around the teams and so on. So I assume the marketers are happy because of the eyeballs. But discussing about ROI, this is where I'm getting some roadblocks. Indeed, there are some really big agencies, like I can quote VaynerMedia and Heaven Media as an example, which are a bit more focused on let's say quality versus quantity. And they really understand the value of this tool, or this value of let's say data, that in order for them to get a good ROI. But it's going to take probably 1 to 2 more years until we will have this discussion properly with large number of percentage in this industry. And yeah, that's how I see it. I think we are way too early. Either because marketers don't want to listen, either the key decision makers like CMOs or like, I don't know, VP of analytics from these big ad agencies, they don't know about these discussions. They don't know. They know about, yeah, it's esports, let's put some budget in, but they are not like looking at the ROI, at the data, the reporting. So one friend of mine, which is the CMO of a really big brand, I was showing him the reporting that is being done in the industry today, and he was like, "You got to be kidding me! Like, there is no metrics that I would spend so much money on." And this is probably to your question: what metrics are they looking on? Is looking impression today, but they are not looking in CTRs, in conversion rates. They are not speaking about actually sales, like ROI sales, you know. Because it's really hard to track sales if you are pushing, let's say, ads inside the live stream. If the viewer is going and buying the product in the next 5 days in the retail shop and online commerce, there is no real point to make attributions. And there is a big company in the space, which I would say a bit competitors to us. I don't put the name there, but they had an amazing white paper as a marketing piece saying, look, this is the attribution that you never saw or you never had seen or something like that. Actually, I was so excited, man, these guys are so amazing. They know about this. I opened the white paper and I read the white paper. Only marketing. There's like, because it's impossible to track that, particularly to show sales. And that was the problem of TV advertising. And that's what Nielsen is trying to do with the data feed, you know, on TV advertising. So yeah.
That's absolutely correct. And I think just like you said, you know, it's very, you know, esports and gaming is unfortunately falling into the traditional ways of media buying, where it is a very attractive. I think esports and gaming, you have the most attractive audience out there for any brand, any audience. You have the largest audience as far as range. And obviously a lot of that audience, the majority of it is youth, you know, is a young audience which is about to become you know, a large purchasing power. So just to segue, I'd love to hear more, because what, you know, we're lacking right now is tools to help these brands figure out how to you know, how to move into the space and how to take advantage of the different areas of spend. So I think Aggero right now is one of the, you know, the best platforms that I've seen, and I'd love for you to explain how Aggero is simplifying this process for brands and what technologies you guys are using to pull the data in so that they can learn, all right, look, these are the metrics that we should be looking for. These are, you know, obviously where the spends should be so that ROI can be achieved via these metrics. Do you want to just touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, great insight. And I think what you are describing is the opportunity of this industry, which I think brands started to see it, investors more, to be honest, is that, yes, it's in a new booming audience. It's a new media channel. That's what esports and gaming is. But what's the opportunity? Can I convert these users to become a purchasing power for the next 30 years of my brand life? Because I'll make way more money than going in NBA and NFL. That's kind of, and it's very under monetized versus the others. Now regarding Aggero, what we are building is we are trying to make it simple for brands to, you know, have the certainty to go online and lose zero money, because that's kind of simply said. They are afraid to deploy so much money because it's uncertainty. They don't know what they will get back. They are just testing the waters and so on. And what we are doing, we build like a data-driven automated, allowing brands to, with 4 pillars, it's allowing brands to build their audience. Like, what's the best audience that I want to target? Simply like Facebook. Then we help them identify and discover the best, let's say, publishers that they should spend their money on, either influencers, either a team, either an event, which is matching from...
Sorry to cut you, but based on the brand's KPI? Yeah. Is that how it...
Yeah. Exactly. So when a brand is giving you a brief to spend their money, they need three things. The first thing, they need the influencer, the team, the event, let's call it content creator. They need to have a let's say an acceptance to represent their brand. So first they are doing a due diligence and curating the content of the content creator to say, yes, this guy is no toxic, you know, it's the perfect fit. I really like this influencer. I want to spend money with him. The second KPI and the second type of matching that they are looking on is the audience of that particular content creator. One, they are looking if they fit the demographics data, and secondly, psychographics. Well, but psychographics is not available in esports and gaming today. So that's what we are bringing on the table. We really help you do a matching between the brand, the content creator, and the audience, which is the super fans in a way of that particular brand. And the last one is the business goal. You know very well, as you worked for many years with those brands, they have different briefs. I need awareness, I need conversion, I need, I don't know. I had fun discussions with Nike and Red Bull. They just needed to find the next ninja. How can I find the next ninja? Cheap, fit. How can I find the next ninja? You know, so
I think every brand wants to find the next.
Yeah, ninja. So that's the data points that we've seen. You know, in order to do the discovery piece and really find the best, you know, asset where you should spend your money on. There is a couple of marketplaces in the space which are saying they are doing this, but they are limited because they are marketplaces. So they are onboarding influencers and they allow you to search through their own small database of 100K content creators, which is limiting marketers to find the right guys. And then after you discover, the last one is you do the outreach, you close the deal, you spend your money. But what's really, really important is the reporting. So reporting today in esports and gaming market is done manual. And it's really hard to do it manual as a human being. So let's say if you have 100 hours of live sponsored content, you know, you spend your money of 100 sponsored live content hours. What do you do then? Like it's inhuman to check 100 hours to see if that content creator is compliant to your contract, if he's doing what he was supposed to do. And even if you oblige him through a contract to give you the proof, if you have 100 hours, you know, of live stream, he's not going to do it. Like it's really, it's impossible, I think, you know. So that's kind of it. Compliance first, and the last one, which nobody is looking on, but how can I optimize? As you know, in Facebook and Google AdWords and all of these traditional advertising programmatic ways, you can do A/B testing. And you can optimize your campaign to spend your money on the campaigning channel that is converting better. And this is what Aggero is doing. You know, we are trying to help you to understand where it's performing well, where it's not performing well, so you can spend your money wiser and wiser and have the high return of investment. So yeah, that's about us as a product, as technologies. As you asked about technologies, I can say that we are using natural language processing, natural language understanding, machine learning, and computer vision as technologies, you know, inside.
I'm going to touch on all those points as well. Most importantly, because obviously Aggero and the technology that you guys use to help brands, you really help automate decisions, correct?
Exactly.
So my main question is, you guys as a technology, how do you pull in the data and then, you know, analyze it and automate that process for brands? What is the technology that you guys use? How is that? How do you create?
So there is the tech stack is combined by a few data sets. The first data set, it's simply public endpoint APIs that you have in Twitch, YouTube, and all of those platforms. The second one, we are scraping a lot of data. So we use computer vision and different technologies to take audio and video format data from Twitch, from YouTube, and so on. Our own machine learning system, and we built our own data set. How we build that, we conducted surveys to this audience and asked the audience, you know, the usual service research companies that they are doing, but our goal is to build machine learning models, not to become a research firm. So that's the third data set in the company. And the last one, we combine all of these three data sets together, and we are running machine learning, natural language processing, and natural language understanding to extract more meaningful information which is not available. As an example, we are picking up, I love Nike, I've bought Nike, and we are trying to classify that being an actionable insight for a brand. Do you want to target this audience and user ID which said that? Yes, we can help you identify those users. So that's kind of
are the most likely to purchase as well,
of course.
Right? So
that's
definitely a huge incentive for brands to learn. And I think with more of that, then they essentially become smarter buyers of different ad spends or digital spends, right?
Yeah, exactly. And again, discovery, it's really important, so you can get the right audience and the right content creator. But without reporting and A/B testing, you will never know if that campaign is good, if you are seeing the results and so on. And again, I'm not talking about impressions and eyeballs, because again, I think impressions are fine and to get awareness, but again, if you are getting awareness which will drive no conversions, I'm sure in the next 1 to 2 years, a lot of brands will turn on the performance side, but real performance side. Because look, unfortunately, we live in an unfortunate situation with coronavirus, and even if esports and gaming grew a lot, and it's constantly growing, a lot of brands lost a lot of money. So I'm sure they will be focused on more ROI side, and that was accelerated than before.
So to touch on that, because obviously you're right, everything is growing, the audiences are growing, especially during these times. You have so many people online, and the whole space has burst, essentially. Do you see brands kind of changing or shifting their strategy when it comes to spends? And a question just for you personally is, where do you see spends going? Where would you spend your money if you were a brand? Would it be on a team? Would it be on an influencer? How would you, what's the most effective ROI that's currently or being invested in, essentially?
Thank you. So I think it's changing a bit towards performance. Mm-hmm. At least this is what I've seen with really big players. When I'm speaking about VaynerMedia, Publicis, and a couple of other big guys out there, I'm seeing a higher interest towards performance from them. From the brand side, not too much yet. Maybe Nike. There is a team member on Nike side which is super experienced with pushing esports as a performance side, and they have a really nice strategy in trying to actually, in the long run, they need to make more money. They need to monetize this audience like everyone else. And now, personally, me, how I would do it, I think initially I would spend money on influencer marketing, not team sponsorships, not event sponsorships. I think that's a mistake, and it's a risk for any brand which is spending money like this. But again, if you are looking at, let's say, Adidas, which is having budgets of billions of dollars and they are spending 1 million, probably that's a okay risk for them, to risk that particular money. But I would definitely start with influencer marketing first, day one, because I think the conversions are much higher then. And then I would slowly try to associate myself with a team or an event, but do a lot of research before spending any dollar on that side. That's my personal opinion from my experience.
I agree, and I'm glad that you said influencer marketing, because I get a big question that I always get is, how do you engage as well new audiences, right? So I think that's a road taken to reach more different types of audiences and engage with different players of different games, essentially, right? Which is obviously, it's such a large environment, so you have to figure out, how am I going to get to different types of people, different types of consumers as a brand. What kind of data would you look at when looking into influencer marketing? Is it obviously, is it engagements? Is it follows? Is it likes? A lot of people think it's all about the likes, but I completely disagree there.
I think first thing that I would look on, I would really research the influencer, his content, in all the formats, audio, video, and text, because the first thing that you want, it's an influencer which is smart and energetic, that he has a really nice tone of voice, that when he's going to represent your product in live stream, you would make sure that he can influence the audience to take decisions, to do as a call to action, you know. So that's the first thing that I've seen really being very, very powerful. The second one is if the audience of the content creator has any interest towards that particular brand or the category that the brand is. So let's take Nike as an example. If they would be interested in Nike, have an affinity towards Nike, that would be amazing. If they have an affinity towards sportswear, that's good as well. If they have no affinity and they only like, I don't know, wearing Louis Vuitton or something like that, I don't think it's a perfect fit, and you would spend your money really bad. So yeah, that's how I see it, and that's kind of the data points again that I would look for.
For sure. Look, I want to flip the conversation a little bit on its head and kind of look at the game developer side of things now. I'm not sure if you guys work with game developers on data and analytics, and I'd love to hear what you have to say about that, and what do you think developers look at when they're designing new games as far as like data points, because obviously it's completely different than the brand side of things. They're a lot more advanced. There's a lot more technology being used when it comes to creating newer games. What are your thoughts there?
I think on the first point regarding influencer marketing, it's everything is changed with them, because they don't need to know if that content creator likes whatever, or if he's energetic and so on. They care about the audience more or less, because they are focused on the performance side. So I think for them really, really important is that the audience of that particular content creator are playing their type of games. That's the first data point that I've seen on the influencer marketing. Play RPGs, and as an example, I'm playing RPGs, I'm not playing strategy games or something like that. If I see any ad towards strategy, I'll never buy it, I'll never play that game. Now to the second one, what data points they are looking to build new games. I mean, this is a broad, big conversation, because it's very advanced today, and there is so many companies, and I've seen that Activision, Electronic Arts, and all of these big companies, they have internal data points to track behaviors of their audience. So they are using those internal data points on the behavior of that particular audience, and they are conducting surveys as well. So I think on developing new games is totally informally done by them with their own first-party data. I'm not seeing third-party services being used for this, because they have way more data than you. They know what your user is doing inside their game, and they know the behavioral of those people, how they convert or not. So I think there is a fully in-house developed technologies by all the big companies like Epic, Riot, and so on. I think Riot was really smart in launching Valorant. I was not expecting, to be honest with you. I heard from a friend like a year and something ago. It's like, hey, they will launch like a game to compete CSGO and Overwatch. But I think that was a bold game. I'm not sure if it was informed of data points, but I think it was a gut call by them. We need to really be a concrete of those guys.
I think it's crazy, just like you said. Obviously, it's miles ahead. There's so much data that these guys get to play with, and obviously that data is already put into amazing things that they could read into and create their games. So obviously they're on a whole other level when it comes to analyzing their data and creating newer games, or the more developed games than the ones that they already have, especially when you're a game developer. And you can see that in different spaces. So the consoles versus the mobile as well. Mobile is a huge space where you have newer games that come up on very basic data and analytics learning. So it's super easy. What do you think? I would say, what do you think technologies like machine learning and deep learning can do to help these guys out?
Oh, that's a great question because I mean, this is what we are doing at Aggero, but we do not apply it for game developers' behavior, what game we should build. But what machine learning and AI propose is if you build a full data pipeline. So let's take in our case, if you're starting to Adidas spend your money on, what's the ROI if you spend your money with Aggero? It's like 300%, 1,000%. If you're seeing a clear ROI, let's say definition, and you have a full data pipeline, machine learning and AI works really well to optimize that. How can you constantly optimize and find the same audiences where you are going to get a higher and higher ROI? And I think it's applied for everyone in the world. You know, if they build a neural net that is going to learn how their users are going to, you know, are playing and the behavioral, they can scale that worldwide. I mean, I think they can apply it in influencer marketing. I can apply in their what new games they can develop, and this is again in-house. But I don't see, to be honest with you, rather than probably Electronic Arts and Activision and Riot and maybe Valve, other companies investing $1 in machine learning and AI towards using these technologies to be able, in neural nets, to be able to know what game should I play. Again, yes, gaming it's old.
I was going to touch on something that you said earlier, which is obviously there are companies like Valve who invest a lot in machine learning for fraud detection, and this really hits on the esports side of things and how gamers are. So I'd love for you to touch on the fraud aspect as well, because that's probably one of the biggest, you know, things that they look at when it comes to machine learning, correct?
That's kind of the only one that I've seen and I know so far, and that's why I've said I don't think they will use, outside of these big companies, we are going to see any investment into their data science teams to be able, what game should I build, you know, based on data science and using machine learning. On the fraud, yes, for sure. You know, that's one of the, let's say, aspects of machine learning as well, can help you detect fraud because they are faster, you know, than a human being. I'm seeing also a lot of companies like Faceit, and there are some other players which are investing in the anti-cheat solutions, and they are using machine learning on that side. And even us at Aggero, we do have machine learning that we are working on the fraud stuff, so the audience quality, because as everyone knows, there is so many bots on Twitch. You know, and you are buying bots if you are buying eyeballs, and then it's the same conversation that we are going before. What metrics are they working? They are looking on impressions, but I think that's another mistake. Yeah, machine learning definitely is being used today already on fraud detection and so on. But I do not think they will use it on the game. What game should I build next based on these technologies? My personal opinion again.
Ask you, what else can you use to detect like bots and obviously fake following and engagement and all of this, which also applies on social media? And you know, what would you use to detect those? Because that's a big aspect when it comes to obviously brand spends and those type of things, right? So huge to see. Obviously, there's technology that you would use to pick and choose.
Yeah, I think first it's about the data, so scraping and having the data, doing differences in engagement, how many people are live, how many people are commenting, how many people are actually following, and look from that point of view if that could be a real audience or it's a fake audience. And then you can add machine learning because you have a lot of bots which are being built on advertising, which today they are getting smarter. They act like a human being and they type different things, but using machine learning, you can detect that, yeah, because you can see the behavior of a bot versus of a real human being. But I've seen bots are getting way smarter today. I've seen a friend of mine actually is doing this, and he built bots for advertising industry in a different industry, you know. Bot capable of, I don't know, 400 words a day, as an example. So yeah, you know,
that's crazy. Look,
yeah,
I want
everything it's evolving.
Yeah, it's absolutely nuts, and I think it's only going to get better. Like the technology is only getting more and more advanced, so that you can start picking out who's playing the funny game. Look, to close it off, I know I've had you on for a while. I'd love to discuss a topic that we're both very lovers of, and we both appreciate, which is blockchain and the tokenization element of gaming. We have an awesome guest on the second panel who we'd love to introduce you to sometime, which is a platform called Yamzu. This is a tokenized gaming platform which allows basically users to play against each other and bet using tokens. That's obviously one thing that you can do with blockchain when it comes to gaming. I'd love to hear your, what do you think about blockchain and its impact on the space, and where do you think it's going to go?
And that's one of my favorite topic. As you know,
let's try to keep it under 10 minutes.
Yeah, I think that's my favorite topic. But just to be very, very quickly, I think blockchain is not yet ready as a technology to sustain gaming and fast transactions. There is different companies, which are trying to solve that. But my personal opinion is that it's a disruptor, is needed, is not yet there. There is a few players around the world, like Mythical Games and so on, which are trying to make it work. I'm very curious personally, to be honest with you, but there is it can be applied for different things. Microtransaction on the gaming companies, like free-to-play games. Perfect. You can save so much money. But just to ramp this up, yeah, I'm a big believer in blockchain. I hope you guys will be a pioneer in blockchain in esports and gaming. Help this industry be connected with blockchain, because they don't understand it at all. I haven't seen people in gaming which can talk real blockchain.
No, I appreciate. I wanted to jump in because I had to jump in and I had to jump in and wrap it up, as well as note. I had a quick question from you. I think I had someone ask me this, and I wanted to ask you quickly, because you're an expert in the field too. Is it possible, not is it possible, anything's possible, but in your opinion, for a media spend or, for a marketing company to be able to get on the ground level, is it possible to tokenize the platform in such a way that it takes the power out of the big media conglomerates, and just like any other tokenized platform, it gives the power back to the decentralized, powers that be, us, so that we can maybe buy a Super Bowl ad, but in a 1 second increment, because I don't have 30 seconds, $4 million, but I have a tokenized part of that. How does that make sense?
Yeah, makes sense. Honestly, I don't think it will happen quickly because of the big media sharks. I don't think they will allow this. This is exactly like do we want to add blockchain in the political to get the fraud out of votes? No, it's not going to happen. At least in my country, I don't know about the others. So I don't think it's going to happen quickly.
Me too. In America, me too. Don't worry.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. I think it's needed.
Yeah,
it's a perfect use case fit. Is not going to happen in the next few years again. So yeah, that's my view. There is few platforms in the blockchain we try to do that, but they also been a scam. I mean, this is the problem of blockchain in cryptocurrencies. Yeah, it's not yet regulated, and because of that, a lot of people can take the money and run away. So I think it's going to take a while. I hope you guys will be again pioneers there, and I would love to be involved in that, but I think we'll have a struggle in trying to convince ad agencies, because we'll take money away from them.
That's the thing, and I'll wrap it up with I think with blockchain, especially with banks hate everything about Bitcoin and the things but if you can make their lives easier and make them more money, then they will do anything for you and whatever technology you say. So you're absolutely right. We're not there yet, but we need to solve bigger problems in blockchain to be able to attribute and solve more problems for those big boys. And then we'll be able to come full circle. But totally agree. I super appreciate. I was in the background.
I'm going to ask you both something since we're on this topic. Sure, on the media side and on the advertising side, we're early days. But do you think game developers could start to implement tokenization within their games? So like the big boys creating their own token for their ecosystem. itself. What do you think about that?
100%. It's already happening. Yeah, I think mythical games.
Incentivizing your players, right?
Yeah, like Animoca brands, I think, and mythical games, and there is a few big, well-funded players, you know. But I think Anderson and Horowitz were some really big funds invested, digital currency group and so on, invested in these companies. And I've seen also Mike's Novograd's fund, which is getting exactly into this. They also invested in esports and so on. And I know a few investments of them focused on block. I think, yeah, that's again, microtransactions, blockchain is the perfect fit. So have a big fan base player to do that as a free-to-play game, even with mobile gaming or whatever. It's a perfect fit. And to your statement, Kevin, maybe you don't need to tell them it's blockchain or AI. You just need to tell them, hey, this is a solution to save your money, and that's it. You know,
that's 90% of blockchain is that you don't explain what blockchain is, because 99% of people don't understand it. I've been in the industry since 2011, and I don't fully understand it because I'm not a cryptographer. I'm not a cryptographer. Yep. I'm just a businessman that taught myself how to code. So I cannot say I'm an expert in blockchain. Absolutely not. I am not an expert, you know, but really quickly, I think it's the way to get that done, Jay, is for the new game, the new Angry Birds, the new version of Fortnite to come out and to say, you know what, we're going to do it our way from the beginning. So if everything you want to buy has to go through this tokenized platform, everything you want to do has to go through this blockchain security, the KML, the AML, the KYC, all needs to be done that way. But I think it's going to take the Angry Bird Fortnite moment.
I agree. And look, I was going to stump you guys and say one more just while we're on there. What do you think it'll take for someone like Fortnite to take the V-Bucks that they've already created, and they've already obviously have so many users, and you know, they just need to stick in a KYC in there and then you know, turn that into a token? Do you think that's possible? Would anyone do that, and why not?
I'll jump in right there. Fortnite won't do it in their current structure. Like whatever they have going on is good. That the V-Bucks is their tokenized, right?
Because cash.
Because
right?
cash, because people are actually spending their dollars to use these fake money. The question should be, can V-Bucks be traded on another exchange or platform with other version of V-Bucks? That's what's yet to come.
Yes,
I agree.
On the blockchain.
Yes. Yes.
Of course.
Yeah.
And maybe showing to the CEO of Riot is like, or whatever big saying, this is how much money you can save and how much money you can make.
Yeah.
Because everyone, it's about ROI and investment, you know, and they have their investors and so on. Yeah, it's going to take some time. That's again my. I think it's going to take some time.
I agree. Man, great conversation. I was in the background just taking notes. I learned a lot from you, Cristian. Every time we talk, a few times that we've met, he's fast becoming a great friend, but also a mentor to us in data. We learn a lot from Cristian. And so I advise everybody to take a look at what Aggero is doing and what they've already done. They're not new on the block as of yesterday, but they're going to be new in the sense of gaming and esports, of what everything's doing. But definitely take a look at Aggero. Cristian, thanks for your time, brother. Thank you so much. We'll have to have a follow-up just on blockchain and nothing about data this time, and we'll just have to pick your brain there. So take care of yourself. We'll talk soon.
We'll do another one, brother.
Thank you so much for having me. Have a good one, and I'll try to join the next and listen to Yamzo. I actually know about Yamzo as well. So talk to you guys soon. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thanks for having me.
Bye.
Take care.
See you, brother. Awesome panel, Jay. I was just taking notes, man. I was just taking notes. Really good stuff.
Than I thought it would go.
I apologize to everybody we went 20 minutes longer, but it was a fantastic 20 minutes. We're going to take a 5-minute off break.